All right, guys, happy Friday and welcome into another edition of AL.com Recruiting. I'm Simone Eli, sports anchor at WKRG in Mobile. He is Ben Thomas, covers high school sports for AL.com. And behind the scenes, we have Patrick Greenfield, also with AL.com. He's the brains behind the operation. He'll be doing our producing. You'll definitely hear us reference him multiple times throughout the show. Now, today, we are talking the top recruit in the state of Alabama, Jeremiah Alexander, the number one guy in the state, Thompson defensive lineman. And Ben, this is just a guy who has been absolutely dominant throughout his career here in Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, we knew him early in his career, I think, from when he was a freshman. Obviously, Thompson's won the last two state championships, and he's been the number one recruit for a while. Obviously, was an Alabama commit for a while. He decommitted in October, but Alabama's still high on his list. They certainly are far from out of the race, but this is – we got a bunch of guys, as we've talked about, Simone, on our previous shows. We got a bunch of good guys in the class this year of 2022, but this is the guy, kind of the unanimous number one in this rising senior class for Alabama.
Yeah, something about Thompson that we've seen year in and year out with head coach Mark Freeman is that he is really an offensive guru, and a lot of folks don't pay a lot of attention to the defense at Thompson, and they really should, because guys like Jeremiah Alexander have been fantastic, and they're really holding these 7A offenses to not many points throughout the entire season, Ben. It's been a huge part of the Warriors' success.
Yeah, I mean, we do. I think a lot of people do focus on Mark Freeman as he really is an offensive guru, and he's everywhere he's been. They put up big numbers, no different at Thompson. But, defensively, Sean DeFore continues to be his defensive coordinator. They're really good on that side. A lot of stars on that side. In fact, we'll talk about it in a little while. Not only do they have the top recruit in the state this year, they got two of the top three recruits on the defensive side for 2023. So a lot of studs in this class, as you would expect, with the two-time defending Class 7A champs.
So I had the opportunity to talk to Jeremiah, and man, I just love this kid. Super humble guy for as talented as he is. We talk about a lot of things, not only his high school career going into his senior season, but also where he's going to be taking official visits, what he wants to see in schools. We're going to start things off with what he had to say about Thompson, about Coach Freeman, Coach Sean DeFore, who's defensive coordinator, kind of what he is learning in that program. Take a listen.
Good. It's like a lot of competition with the Connor and the offense and the defense, so it's good. It's I feel like that's the best offense we're going to play all year, so when game comes, it's going to be easy.
How motivated is this team after what happened last year, the incredible state title game? How motivated are you guys to get back out there and to repeat?
We're very motivated. Freeman tells us all the time that we can be the most winningest class if we finish and take care of business this year, so that's very motivational.
What have you enjoyed about playing for Coach Freeman and Coach DeFore and just being in this system? It's almost like Thompson runs their high school like a college.
Yes, ma'am. They see Coach Freeman and Coach DeFore, like they're very, like everyone has respect for them. Like they're very cool coaches, and like, some coaches, you'll have coaches and it's like you have to respect them just because they're like older than you and they're coaches, but like it's true and real love coming from Coach DeFore and Coach Freeman. So it makes it easy for us to play for them.
How much do you feel like their style is preparing you to go play at the next level?
Well, for Coach Freeman, I feel like the way they run stuff around here, like have meetings, workouts in the morning, make sure we're on time for everything. And they run things like a college because they've been in the business for a long time. So like they expect a lot from us. So I feel like when I get to the next level, it'll just keep running over.
So obviously high praise for what Thompson has done, not only on the field with their success, but also behind the scenes and how they're preparing guys for the college level. And one thing, Ben, I'll say about Jeremiah Alexander is that when you watch him warm up compared to not only other guys at Thompson, but compared to the other team, I mean, he really, really stands out. His physical size, it seems like he's a guy that could really go right in and make an impact at the college level.
Yeah. I want to thank Coach Freeman and Coach DeFore for helping us set up this interview too, Simone. I mean, Jeremiah is kind of a wanted guy. Almost every major program in the nation wants him, and they were good enough to help us set up that interview. But you're right. From the time he was a freshman, I think he made 74 tackles as a freshman, 16 tackles for a loss, and they win the coin toss, Simone, every time he walks out on the field to midfield to call the coin toss. I mean, he looks that good. I think he's SEC ready. I mean, you can just see it in him when you watch him play. He obviously, you and I have covered high schools for a long time. You can tell immediately, who the dogs are, so to speak, when you walk out on the field. And that's certainly Jeremiah. And what I like about him as well is he's not overly hyped himself. I mean, he's concerned with the team. I think one reason he decommitted was not because he didn't like Alabama, is because he was getting so much focus on, hey, the Alabama recruit, and he wanted some of that focus just to be on Thompson and their chance to repeat. So I really think that was kind of a modest thing for him to do, and we'll see what he does going forward.
Yeah, so you could just hear the humility in his comments there, really giving praise to his coaches, to his team. Had over 100 tackles last year, won so many accolades for 7A Lineman of the Year. And Ben, we talked about his decision-making when it comes to what he's going to do at the next level, where he wants to go visit. One of these schools that he mentioned will kind of stand out to you, but here's what he had to say about official visits that will begin this summer. For you personally, can you update us on your recruiting at this point? How are things going?
It's going good. I'm gonna wait and make my decision at the All-American game in December, but I'm taking some OVs this summer. I'm taking one, but other than that, I'm just chilling right now.
How much do you feel like these official visits will kind of help give you clarity, and can you share where you're gonna go for your official visits?
I'm going to Central Florida June 11th, and then I'm taking Florida, Clemson, Bama, and Georgia during the season so I can see a game and stuff.
Wow, very cool. Are you excited to kind of get out there and to see what's out there, and ultimately what will help you make a decision on your future?
Yeah, I'm very excited. It's been a year because of COVID and the dead period and stuff like that. And what I'm looking for in a school is separation for put me in the best decision to make an impact and the best competition, because my ultimate goal is to make it to the NFL, but I know I got to take it step by step. So I need to be prepared and I just want to make sure I'm getting trained to the best and just playing with the best people.
All right, so this summer he will visit Central Florida. Of course, we know Gus Malzahn is there now, and he is trying to kind of keep his hand in the Alabama recruiting scene. Jeremiah told me that he was going to take OVs over at Alabama, Georgia, Florida, and Clemson during the football season so he can go to games. I think we'll get to that soundbite in just a minute. But Ben, your take on him going to Central Florida?
Well, I mean, I just think, it's a sign of Gus Malzahn trying to keep his hand in Alabama. Travis Williams being down there now, I'm sure is a big connection. I'd love to get Gus. I know you're listening. You need to come on the show with us and talk about your recruiting Alabama. I'm trying to get that done, Simone. But they're at least talking to a lot of prospects. I don't know how many of them they'll get. I mean, the chances of Jeremiah Alexander, no offense, Gus, going to Central Florida or UCF as they call it, not very likely probably, but. It's nice of him to take a visit down there, and who knows? You never know what's going to happen. But obviously, I think the other four big-time schools, Florida and Alabama, Georgia, I mean, I think a lot of people think it's a Georgia-Alabama type race. Again, just because they decommitted from Alabama, that does not mean Alabama's out of this thing. I don't want people to think that. I think they're still largely in it. Georgia's largely in it, and Georgia's had some success getting the top recruiter out of this state the last 4 or 5 years under Kirby Smart. So we'll see if they can continue that or not.
Your thoughts on him wanting to wait until December at the All-American game? We've seen some of the bigger guys do that, kind of wait until that national spotlight. And again, I mean, I think it's great for him. You have the opportunity to play in that game. Of course, take that big opportunity. Do you think that's a little late in the game?
No, not for one of these top guys, Simone. I mean, you are getting a lot of early commitments, but these 5-star guys, people are going to wait. Colleges are going to wait on them. They're not passing up those spots. So I think it's fine for him, and I think it's good. I mean, I don't like kids to commit too early now. With the recruiting season opening back up in June, kids finally able to take visits again after a year of the pandemic. I hope they all take some visits. I mean, this is a big time decision. We whole different subject. We see kids, over 1,000 kids in the transfer portal. I'd like for kids to take visits and go where they really want to go and stay there for 3 or 4 years if possible.
Yeah. So in the comments here, I see a lot of Roll Tides. I even see a little Auburn. Auburn isn't a team that Alexander spoke about when I asked him about what these schools would be for him this year. But here's what he had to say in regards to what will separate where he ultimately goes. What are some things that you like about the schools already, having not gone on an official visit yet, but maybe about Alabama or Clemson or Central Florida that you like just before you get there?
Coach Trey Williams, he was the freshman coach for Thompson, and he went to Central Florida, so we already have that relationship. Mm-hmm. And Bama, Clemson, Georgia, all of them, Florida, like I talk to them daily, and the relationships with them and my parents is just very good. So I just like it. I just got to see what campus is and the atmosphere. Of course, I know what Bama and Georgia like, but like Clemson and Florida, I've only been in Clemson like twice, and I haven't been in Florida. So I'm just looking forward to visiting and learning more about the schools.
What type of goals do you have personally for your senior year with the Warriors?
Definitely I want to repeat, three-peat. So that right there, go undefeated and like just be more of a leader. Like I've always been a leader, but like now that I'm a senior, like everyone actually looks up to you and stuff like that. So it's a different role being a senior and an actual leader as your senior.
Let's unmute the mic. That'll help. I think a big part of Jeremiah Alexander's decision-making when it comes to where he goes, and not many guys can say this, is that they're already thinking ahead to the next level, to what he can do in the professional realm. And listen, I mean, I'm not trying to just pump up Alabama nonstop, but they did just have a record 6 guys go in the first round. So if you're Jeremiah Alexander and you're watching the draft and you're thinking, okay, who's going to prepare me to go be a pro, that's hard to ignore.
Oh, yeah, that impacts them. I mean, Coach Saban really doesn't have to sell much other than say, look, we had 10 guys drafted and they can go, they've had more first round draft picks than they have losses, I think, in his career there at Alabama. So, Alabama under Saban, it sells itself, and we'll see. I think it's interesting to see, if you go to Clemson and see the waterfall and all that stuff to see if Dabo and them can get in the race for him. But he certainly has his choices. And again, I think it's good for him to wait around and see what he likes and see what's the best fit for him.
No doubt about it. I think I was very impressed with Jeremiah Alexander speaking about what his goals were for his remainder of his final season there at Thompson. He wants to three-peat. That's a huge goal for him. And I'm really impressed all the time by these big name guys who are getting so much attention, especially from the SEC, who are really still dialed in on what they want to accomplish at the high school level. And I really credit that to Coach Mark Freeman and Coach DeFore and the staff that they have there to keep those guys so focused on what it's going to take to be successful still in that one remaining year that he has at the high school level.
Yeah, you feel like even though they've repeated already, you feel like maybe they have a chip on their shoulder because everybody knows that last championship was kind of a crazy finish against Auburn. I mean, they did not play their best, certainly with Connor Harrell, their quarterback, hurt. And I bet there's some talk about let's go out and dominate this year. And certainly, assuming there's no injuries, I mean, they'll be the clear favorite to win again and three-peat, which at the 7A level, we've had Hoover for years, and now Thompson is kind of the player in the state.
Yeah. All right. So Jeremiah was a former Alabama commit. Alabama still very, very much in the mix. If he goes to Alabama, he could be a teammate with Emmanuel Henderson, the running back over at Geneva County. Ben, I know you were out there in the Wiregrass not too long ago with Emmanuel. What was that trip like? What did you hear from him? What did you learn from him?
Yeah, it was cool. I went up to Hartford earlier this week actually to present the Miss Basketball Award to Caroline Stripling, who's going to Tennessee. And got to talk to Emmanuel. He said, Alabama fans will be interested to know they said he ran a personal best 4.35 in the 40 this week.
Wow.
And I talked to, we're seeing his highlights now. I talked to he and Coach Jim Bob Stripling just about him. And I thought Coach made some good points. He said, he committed. Simone, we had him. He was our first show. We had Coach Stripling on 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, whenever it was. So he committed in mid-March. But Coach said that he is like even more driven now to live up to what he calls that Bama standard. He's working hard. They're obviously going through spring practice right now, and his speed's increasing. Looks good. I mean, he's going to there's no he's ready. He said coaches, he's still talking to Alabama coaches pretty much every day. No other recruiting's kind of died down. He still hears from some people, but Seems like they know that he's kind of going to Alabama. So looking forward to see what he can do on the field next year for Geneva County.
Yeah, what I thought was interesting, Jim Bob Strickland said that Henderson reminded him of a TJ Yeldon type. And when I watched these highlights, his ability, his yards after contact, it kind of reminds me of the former Daphne running back and just how he kind of ran the ball. I could really see this, and I think Coach Strickland said this as well, just really do well at the next level in Tuscaloosa. He really fits into that type of system, what they're looking for in their running backs there.
Yeah, I think even now that you mentioned it, I think TJ wore number 4 at Daphne too. I can't remember, but I think he did. But Jim Bob Strickland also compared him to Darren McFadden, the Arkansas running back. And I asked Emmanuel this week, I'm like, who do you compare yourself to? Who did you watch growing up? And he said Michael Vick. So another elusive back, even though he turned out to be a quarterback, obviously. But good things in store for this guy. He's, by the way, now Simone, the number 1 running back in the nation, Emmanuel Henderson.
Wow.
It's unusual for a guy who's kind of out of the way. I mean, Hartford's a little bit out of the way. Not many people go there unless you're trying to go to Hartford. But this guy's the big man in town.
Good for him. Ben, I know that we wanted to update a Faith Academy standout, a guy who has Alabama in the mix when it comes to what he could potentially do at the next level as well. Tell us a little bit about Shamar James.
Yeah, Shamar is another great player, top 10 recruit in 2022 coming up. He kind of plays all over the field for Faith. He catches passes, but he's going to be a defender in high school, in college. The interesting thing is, he's probably going to be an outside linebacker in college, but I've had some coaches tell me that he could even play a hybrid safety type, a Mark Barron type position at Alabama. But Shamar just this weekend narrowed his top choices. He's going to decide, he says, between Florida and Alabama. So 2 SEC powers again. I think a lot of people think Alabama is the choice for him. I was interested that Florida is in there as well. But he's a great player and kind of just a relative. I think just last year about this time he got his first offers, and as you can see there, he's making great plays down the field. He does a lot on offense and defense, and he's going to be a name to look for this year for sure.
So Shamar James, Emmanuel Henderson, Jeremiah Alexander, potentially all 3 in-state guys potentially going to play for Nick Saban at Alabama. I really think it goes to show the recruiting that he is able to do in this state. Nick Saban's been able to do it throughout multiple years, of course, but really, really dialing in on these in-state guys and getting it done for sure.
Yeah, and I think it also shows, because Alabama recruits so nationwide. I think when you're talking about this many in-state guys talking Alabama, it tells you how good this class of 2022 is in the state, especially at the top. And again, I think, we may see some things change, in June when recruiting opens up. Auburn may get, I'm not counting Auburn out in some of these races. I think when campus visits get back, that's always been a big thing at Auburn, to get kids on campus and show them that environment, loveliest village on the plains and that type thing. And so I think Auburn will be in the mix for some of these kids. But right now, I think it just shows you the depth of this 2022 class. It's really going to be a good fall down here, Simone.
Absolutely. All right, Ben Thomas, AL.com, Patrick Greenfield behind the scenes. A great episode today. Of course, a lot of Alabama guys heavy here in the state. We'll have another great episode coming for you next week. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, on Facebook. We'll let you know who that is coming up for next week on AL.com recruiting. For Patrick, for Ben, I'm Simone Eli, guys. We'll see you next Wednesday.